doctors, we are proceeding on a nationwide strike. As we speak now, the National Association of Resident Doctors across the country, they are on strike. And we know that the resident doctors constitute the majority of healthcare professionals, many particularly our secondary and tertiary institutions. This is more so at a time that the citizens are going through some challenges occasioned by necessary but very painful reforms that are going on in our economic space. Therefore, we must also not deny them the opportunity of having access to healthcare, particularly now. My name is Shoaib Afolabi Salisu. I represent the good people of Ogun Central. I'm sponsoring this motion alongside with His Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Barrow Jibril from Kano North, and Distinguished Senator Akintunde Yunus from Oyo Central. I proceed, Mr. Senate President. The Senate notes that the healthcare sector is an essential service that requires utmost attention to ensure the welfare, well-being, and wellness of Nigerians. Aware that there are only 24,000 doctors available to over 200 million population, with a current ratio of 1 doctor to over 9,000 patients, in stark contrast with WHO's recommendation of 1 doctor to 600 patients. Further aware that Nigeria has witnessed mass exodus of very experienced medical professionals in recent times, and is therefore in dire shortage of healthcare professionals. Observe that the ongoing strike by resident doctors has resulted in suspension of critical health services, healthcare services, further exacerbating the fragile public health situation across the country. Further observe that it is imperative for the federal government to promptly address the concerns of the resident doctors and find lasting solutions to prevent future occurrences of the strikes that disrupt our healthcare services now and then. Concerned that the outbreak of a highly contagious and deadly diphtheria disease in some states poses a significant public health concern and requires immediate, effective, and coordinated intervention. Further concern that the ongoing strike by the resident doctors has led to the suspension of essential healthcare services, negatively impacting patients' access to medical care, and concern that the well-being and health of Nigerian citizens are paramount, and the government must prioritize efforts to contain the diphtheria outbreak and ensure access to quality healthcare services. Senate resolve: 1. To urge the federal government to immediately engage with the leadership of the resident doctors to address their grievances and find lasting solutions to end the ongoing strike. 2. To encourage the federal government to identify and address the underlying issues leading to incessant strikes in the health sector and develop sustainable policies to prevent future occurrences, thereby safeguarding the health and well-being of all Nigerians. Number 3, to emphasize the need for the federal government to prioritize investment in the healthcare sector, including the improvement of healthcare infrastructure, capacity building for medical professionals, and the development of policies to enhance healthcare delivery in Nigeria. And to call on the resident doctors to consider the humanitarian implications of their strike action and prioritize the well-being and lives of patients, particularly in the face of the diphtheria disease outbreak in some part of the country, and immediately suspend the strike. Number 5, mandate the relevant committees of the Senate, when constituted, to conduct an inquiry into the underlying issues leading to the resident doctor strike and make recommendations for the sustainable resolution of their concerns. And finally, Mr. President, to direct the Federal Ministry of Health through the Center for Disease Control to swiftly implement measures to contain the spread of the diphtheria disease in affected states and ensure that necessary medical supplies and resources are readily available to combat the outbreak. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I enjoin you to please support this motion to ensure that we bring to an end immediately the ongoing strike by the resident doctors. They are the bulwark of our healthcare delivery system. We cannot afford that the only doctors we have left in the country who have not migrated abroad are on strike at a time the citizens need the comfort of the healthcare delivery system, as well as combating the disease that's ravaging some part of the country. Mr. President, I so move.
Yes.
The motion, and in supporting it, I wish to state as follows, Mr. President, with your kind permission, that this motion is not only timely, but it's also an emergency. Coming shortly after the motion I moved yesterday on the issue of diphtheria outbreak, I think that the motion deserves all the support we can garner. And I watched the news yesterday. Most television stations depicted the pathetic state of most federal medical centers because, yeah, the picture was pathetic in the sense that most doctors have abandoned their duty post. And in areas where few doctors were working, they stated clearly that the notice of the strike got to them late. That's why they were at work. So this issue requires an immediate intervention, and the intervention of the Senate will go a long way in ameliorating the sufferings that the people are being subjected to at this moment. The mover of the motion has also copiously argued the motion and therefore does not require so much argument. The prayers are straightforward, and I urge my colleagues to kindly support the motion. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Tony Way.
Colleagues, my contribution will be very few words. Number one, this motion is very timely because these resident doctors are the doctors who are the most critical workforce in our tertiary hospitals vis-a-vis the teaching hospitals and federal medical centers. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, they are the middle and the junior cadre of our hospitals, and their services cannot be neglected. Sometimes in 2016, when I was in the House of Reps, when I was a member, I led a delegation of the then leadership of the resident doctors to meet with to interface with leadership of the National Assembly. We even met the then president before, because we had a serious negotiation on this issue of lingering crisis in the health sector. We resolved it then. I'm appealing to this Nigerian Senate, these young colleagues, for this our Senate to consider it expedient to have a committee as it contained in the motion paper, so that there will be serious interface with the federal government, so that this issue of tomorrow there will be strike, they will call it off and go. This matter did not start with this particular government. It is something that has lingered for a very long time. I believe that there must be give and take between the resident doctors and the federal government. At the same time, we want to use this motion as captioned by the mover and the sponsors to appeal to some of our colleagues for them to see reason to call off the strike, pending the time the federal government will do the needful. I so contribute. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Yunusa.
And that within that period and now, nothing has come out of the MOU. So I want to add that we make appeal to them to resume work and possibly work on how the agreement reached as contained in the MOU could be settled within them. They made known of 3 demands, sir. That the request for one-for-one replacement policy for healthcare workers, that's a policy. That they want immediate payment of all salary arrears and new hazard allowance. That was what?
Point of order.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, I sponsor of this motion.
And I want to reiterate that popular saying that health is life. And who are the managers, who are the key people that drive our healthcare delivery system? Of course, the doctors. So if the doctors are not working, it therefore means that our healthcare sector will be grounded. And it's grounded as we say, as we speak. It is therefore very, very important. Very, very, very important that we do all within our powers to make them come back to work. Because if we don't do that, then we all know that health is life, then there won't be life. Or our lives will be in great jeopardy. So I align myself with all that is said in this motion. I align myself to the intendment of this motion, because it's very, very, very important that we get our doctors back to work. Otherwise, we'll be in problem. It is said over and over again that as we speak, there's a disease outbreak in some parts of this country. Now, do we now add salt to an open injury? No, we wouldn't do that. Therefore, let's all agree to the prayers of this motion. Let's all agree to this motion in its entirety, so that we'll bring back our doctors to their various hospitals, and will enhance and also make sure that our lives will be saved, because we'll have the service of these doctors. I urge my colleagues to support this motion in its entirety, so that all the prayers will be resolved in the manner that it will be beneficial to the entire country. I so submit.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, I think the motion is very straightforward. So let's just urge the federal government to immediately engage with the leadership of the resident doctors to address their grievances and find lasting solutions to end the ongoing strike. Those who are in support of this prayer, one say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, encourage the federal government to address the underlying issues leading to frequent strikes in the health sector and develop sustainable policies to prevent future occurrences, thereby safeguarding the health and well-being of all Nigerians. Those who are in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, emphasize the need for the federal government to prioritize investments in the healthcare sector, including the improvement of healthcare infrastructure, capacity building for medical personnel, and the development of policies to enhance healthcare delivery in Nigeria. Those who are in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Call on the resident doctors to consider the humanitarian implications of their strike action and prioritize the well-being and lives of patients, particularly in the face of the diphtheria disease outbreak in many parts of our dear country. Those who are in support of prayer 4 say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5, mandate relevant committees of the Senate, when constituted, to conduct an inquiry into the underlying issues leading to the resident doctors' strike, and therefore make recommendations for the sustainable resolution of their concerns. Those who are in support of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 6, direct the Federal Ministry of Health through the Center for Disease Control, CDC, to swiftly implement measures to contain the spread of diphtheria diseases in affected states, and thereafter ensure that necessary medical supplies and resources are readily made available to combat this outbreak. Those who are in support of prayer 6 say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me, on behalf of the Senate, thank our dear brother. Very. Yes, Senator Bangida.
Additional prayer, Mr. President, sir, and Babangida.
Those will listen to the plea of the Nigerian Senate as met today to end this strike, particularly taking cognizance of the humanitarian aspect of it, the number of lives that are lost. Their profession is generally to save lives, not to lose lives. So we from the Senate are appealing to them that yes, while the ongoing negotiations are being made, that they should consider and suspend this strike in the humanitarian interest for the benefit of all Nigerians, even for the benefit of their families. And we will continue to monitor the progress. Thank you, Leader of the Senate.